Today we'll be discussing the deadly explosions that terrorized Sri Lanka on Easter.
Followed by a discussion on the Supreme Court's decision to accept cases on whether or not anti-discrimination laws apply to gender identity and sexual orientation.
And lastly, we have an inside look at Comm Week 2019 that is currently underway at Cal State Fullerton. All of this and more on this episode of The Report.
Hello and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Ashley Antolin.
I'm Ryan Matthey.
I'm Alyssa Freider.
And I'm Gunnar Texera, filling in for both Leslie Duarte and Regina Ureta.
Before we get started with our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the discussion this semester. Click on the link in the caption of any of our report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issue that we've had talked about now or in the past, as many of these issues are recurring and evolving. We also have a Twitter account at The Report CSUF, so expect polls, questions, and news updates.
More than 200 people were killed and hundreds more injured due to the multiple suicide bombings in Sri Lanka. These bombings on Sunday targeted Christian churches as well as luxury hotels. The FBI is currently assisting in the investigation and have made 24 arrests with those suspected of being a part of the attacks. The United States and the Indian intelligence stated that they have warned Sri Lanka about the possibility of attacks, but the Prime Minister claims to have been left in the dark. Here's John Lorink with more details on the attacks and the investigations.
Terror in Sri Lanka with coordinated bombings in churches and high-end hotels.
I strongly condemn these attacks that targeted religious sites and luxury hotels. All of us must uphold the law of the land.
The minority Christian community in Sri Lanka appears to be the main target of the attacks.
I entrust to the Lord all who so tragically died, and I pray for the wounded and all those who suffer because of this traumatic event.
Prior to the Easter Sunday violence, a warning was issued. A memo dated April 11th, signed by Sri Lanka's Deputy Inspector General of Police, warning intelligence officers about a possible attack.
It's a regrettably not unfamiliar story in the aftermath of terrorist incidents where there has been pieces of information and pieces of intelligence that haven't necessarily been stitched together the way that they needed to be.
A police source tells CNN the memo included a request for more security.
I'm confident there will be a substantial investigation into what's happened there and what's gone wrong.
This attack ends a decade of relative peace for the country after its 25-year civil war ended in 2009. President Trump offering condolences in a tweet saying, "We stand ready to help." I'm John Lawrence reporting.
As the 2020 presidential election draws closer, the Democratic Party candidates aren't wasting any time, all attempting to get ahead of the vote. Senator Elizabeth Warren recently proposed a debt cancellation and a free college plan as part of her campaign. Also, rumors are circulating around the idea that Joe Biden will be announcing his official presidential campaign run this week. With the candidate race heating up, last night CNN hosted a presidential campaign town hall that featured Klobuchar, Sanders, Harris, Warren, and Buttigieg. So guys, what did you think of the town hall and how do you feel about the candidates and their stances?
I think it was a good collection of people, and honestly, I'm happy that these are the people who will be representing us, at least from the Democratic perspective of it all. And they did have some very interesting, I guess, opinions and things to say, but they also had a lot of interesting things that they did not say, or they kind of just like twirled around it. So it's a little, I guess it was kind of just like a little peek into like maybe what we'll be expecting. And obviously, as you know, the season goes on and more, we get closer to the campaign. Hopefully, we'll learn like more of their like secure, planted, what's the word? Like,
views.
Opinions, views and stuff.
I do think that the concept of free college is definitely really unrealistic. As much as a college student, as much as I would like to believe the possibility is there and in grasp, but I don't think that it's possible. There's just so much that colleges do for their students, and who's going to pay for it? Like, it's not just going to and from school and paying professors. We're talking about paying for events and paying for us to have networking opportunities and events like Comm Week that we're doing right now. Like, who is paying for all the extra stuff that comes with going to college that creates more opportunities other than just going to and from class?
The programs we have like Titan TV,
Yeah.
these whole things. And that's also with that was like Bernie Sanders' big thing to open with. And that's what got all his college votes that he did. And now it's kind of like, okay, everyone's going to say that. And it's like I was saying, it's a middle ground of it can't be free, but we shouldn't be $4,000 in debt a semester. Like, where's the middle ground? And we all know middle ground doesn't work here in America ever.
Yeah, well, that's like Elizabeth Warren's other thing. She brought up that she wants to relieve student loan debt, like to 95% of the people who have student loan debt. I think it's a great idea. Still don't know how it's going to work. Where's that money coming from? But
Where's it going?
But that was just one small topic of like the multitude of different things that they had to talk about. That's obviously it's going to be a little more relevant to us considering we are college students. I mean, not you guys much longer, but like I just think it's more like you need to focus on big topics that impact large groups of people. So obviously this college thing. Beautiful. What do they have to say about climate change? What do they have to say about police brutality, about people being incarcerated, like all these different things. And so that's also something that I feel like we still need to hear from them before we make a decision about who we're going to be voting for.
Yeah, and with the what you were just talking about, the, like people who are still in jail for like drug crimes, when in California it's now legal to have marijuana, and there are still people who are in jail for crimes that they had for carrying or possession of while they were driving, not under the influence, just possession in general, and they are still there, and it is now legal. So things like that. I want to hear from them on their opinions on that and where they stand.
Yeah, I know a lot of them brought up the one of the questions that they brought up was, should prisoners be allowed to vote? So they definitely brought up like the idea of prisoners and like kind of how to deal with them. It was kind of split. Some people were like, Bernie Sanders was like, yes. And he said, quote, terrible people have the right to vote. And then like Buttigieg was like, you know, they don't have the right to vote. They lost that right when they, you know, decided to commit a crime and go to jail.
Of course, but also what crimes though? So like Ashton said, there are these crimes for people who honestly, not a big deal. Like having a gram of weed on you, cool, like good for you. Like, and obviously like in the past, when it was more stigmatized, like that makes a little more sense. But current day, what are you going to be talking about now, and how are you going to affect change with these group of people?
Like, I don't need Ted Bundy to have a vote.
No,
like,
but Ted Bundy
that's also the argument though. Then is it a matter of like, okay, your crime's not that big a deal, so you should be able to vote. But if you are a murderer, what if you're a supposed murderer, or I didn't do it, I promise, I didn't murder her, like O.J. Simpson or whatever. All those people, like, should they have like rights to vote? Like death row people, like that's where Sadow's got to keep it one way or the other. This is where we got to be black and white. Like the gray can't work. And I'm a big gray person, but this is one that can't.
For that,
I think we'll just have to see as the election keeps going.
The American Civil Liberties Union sent a letter to the governor of New Mexico after nearly 300 migrants were detained by the U.S.-Mexico border this week. They were detained at gunpoint by an armed militia group who would then turn them over to Border Patrol. In the letter, the ACLU is urging the government to investigate the unlawful conduct. CNN correspondent Nick Valencia has more on the story.
Yalto! U.S. Border Patrol, what are you guys doing?
The man speaking in the video is not a Border Patrol agent, but he appears to be acting like one. Here, he gives commands to the migrant group, some of them children, which he has just intercepted.
What? Yep. There you go.
The clips were posted to the Facebook page of Jim Benvey, a member of the United Constitutional Patriots, a militia group based along the New Mexico border.
Oh, we don't work well with Border Patrol, by the way, just so you guys know that. That's the media.
They describe themselves as concerned citizens, helping to keep America safe, plugging the holes, they say, for the U.S. Border Patrol.
That Border Patrol is tied up, so if we weren't here right now, they could be bringing in busloads, dropping them over here, and running up the hill.
The group's actions have drawn swift condemnation from the American Civil Liberties Union and others who have equated the group's actions to kidnapping.
This is exactly why we don't let private citizens enforce the laws of our country. This is an act of vigilantism, and we need federal, local, and state authorities stepping in as quickly as possible.
They've asked federal, state, and local law enforcement to investigate. In a statement to CNN, a spokesman for the New Mexico governor's office said this about the militia group. They have absolutely not been authorized by our office or any other. We are actively working with the Attorney General's office, state police, and local police to determine what has gone on and what can and will be done. That migrant families might be menaced or threatened in any way, shape, or form is completely unacceptable. CNN has been unable to independently verify when and where the clips were shot. We made several attempts to reach the United Constitutional Patriots and Jim Benvey. They did not reply. A spokesman for the group defended their actions to the New York Times, saying what they do is legal. But in one of the nighttime videos posted by the group, a man can be heard alluding to another tactic he wishes the militia could use.
The only problem is if we shoot on the hill, it'll be an international crisis. We're too close to the border. Would save some time though, wouldn't it?
The Supreme Court has decided to take an interesting case, one that questions whether a federal law would prohibit employers from discriminating against gay and transgender employees. The law in question is Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which states an employer cannot discriminate against race, gender, religion, and national origin. Most federal appeal courts have interpreted the law to exclude sexual orientation discrimination, but two of them in New York and Chicago recently issued decisions ruling that discrimination against gay men and women is a form of sex discrimination. Absolutely not. I think that this is uncalled for. Who are you to say that somebody cannot have a job because of their sexual orientation?
That's canceled.
Well, it was basically brought up because of the Trump administration.
Of course it was.
Shocker.
That's the
Of course
reason
it was.
it's being called into question. It really wasn't a question before, but the Trump administration has taken the opposite position, saying that the landmark legislation that outlawed discrimination based on race, religion, national origin, and notably sex cannot be fairly interpreted to discriminate based on sexual orientation and transgender status. So that's the reason it's being called into play. Like, I just want to point that out.
But why? I don't understand. What job title or position is there where you are unable to be of not cisgender, of not, heterosexual being? Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's 2019, and even though we had gay marriage legalized by the Supreme Court years ago, they're still facing all these different sort of struggles.
Yeah,
and
gay rights don't just end at
They
legal
don't end.
marriage.
Gay rights just don't end. It's a constant battle of just suffering and suffering, and then maybe we're getting there, and then more suffering. So it's just I don't know. And
I think that this is so hateful. Like we're in a society right now in 2019. We're actively pushing for progression, and we're making that progress of acceptance, and gay marriage is legal. And what is this? I just am so in shock. Like you said, what job would possibly limit you for being gay, bisexual?
Hey Siri, what job limits you? No, it's one of those things that's with this, it says discrimination. So that should just be the thing of discrimination on any account. But this is America, you have to have everything in writing and finalized. But why? What does that matter? Okay, if it's against your beliefs or whatever, you're just not comfortable. Your fellow employees, it's not your no, just that's not going to slow them down. It truly does not. You see, there's plenty of people that you don't know are transgender or of the LGBTQ community, and you're oh, now I see you know differently. It does not matter. It's 2019. No one cares.
I want to say specifically, just bringing up some information about it, there's only 22 states currently that have either full or partial bans on employment discrimination based on sexual orientation. So there's still 28 states out there that that you are able to be denied a job because of who you are.
But are those in place from years ago and nobody really uses them, or are those 28 states actively being
banning?
Nope. You know what I mean? It's some of those random laws in states where you can't have ice cream on a Tuesday in Illinois. You know what I'm saying? Those random laws. Yeah, those random laws. You know what I mean?
There's one where there's a dog. You can't walk your dog on Wednesdays or whatever. And it's why was this a thing? Who? And
maybe it had a better reason way back when there were dogs, I guess, just roaming the streets or whatever. But now it's not a deal. So that's why I think this is something that we need to progress with the times. Is that. Look, there are gay people, there are transgender people. Surprise! Welcome to America, welcome to the world.
Shocker!
Wait, what?
Oh my God!
Wait, they're here?
Shook it. Yeah.
You know what? I hope that what comes out of this is that the Supreme Court decides that cannot be discriminated on, and I hope that is what comes out of it. That it's every state has to take that on.
Honestly, for the sake of this country and the outcome that could possibly do anything that has to do with this, I hope that they shut this down immediately.
Done.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see where this goes. It could take probably up to a year, so hopefully we'll be keeping you guys updated on that. Well, now switching over now to climate change, which is now affecting more than just the environment. It's also making allergy season unbearable for about 20 million Americans. According to a study by Climate Central, warmer temperatures lead to an increase of airborne pollen. This means more sneezing and sniffling for all those affected by allergens. The increase in greenhouse gases means more carbon dioxide, longer pollination seasons, and longer allergy seasons. Those with asthma will have a harder time breathing with all of the pollen in the air. And to combat these symptoms, Climate Central suggests stocking up on allergy medication, staying inside during the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and shower often to remove pollen from your hair.
Well, speaking of climate change, National Earth Day was yesterday, and Los Angeles took this date to officially begin their restriction on the certain usage of plastic straws. In March, the City Council voted to ban restaurants from offering or providing their customers with plastic straws without request. Los Angeles has still not completely banned the use of plastic straws within the city like San Francisco and or Malibu, but this is a step further into correcting this environmental crisis. Plastic straws ranked number 6 on the list of collected trash in a city report from 1988 to 2016. Those above plastic straws were cigarettes, food packaging, caps, lids, plastic bags, plastic utensils, and dishes. So guys, it seems like there is being action taken towards, helping the earth, but is it enough? And how do we feel about the straws?
Let me say from a personal experience, at my job, they do give out these biodegradable straws. Love that. I think it's fantastic that this company is taking a step towards, fixing our environment and, making sure that we can live here in a healthy place for much longer. However, at the same time, maybe it's not the right alternative, because I don't know if you guys have used these biodegradable straws. Not great. I know, Ashley, you have a lot to say about these straws, and it's a little
straws are not doing it for me.
It's
They're
like,
just not.
It does its job. So you're getting those liquids into your mouth, whatever. But
with some paper, though.
With some paper,
With
it
some
gets
paper.
clogged up.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to deal with. However, this is a better change, I feel like, than just no change at all, and just like keeping with the plastic straws.
Right. Yeah. I also think it's something that we could do, because we all know I'm not a big fan of the paper straws, biodegradable, we love it. But what if we just get a new lid? Like the Starbucks is offering like the new type of lid for like the cold drinks. I'm all for that. I'm trying to consume my liquids and not have a paper in my mouth.
But the lids actually are worse, like, because using more plastic. That's like the one argument people always say is with those new lids. Like, I even request them now, mostly out of laziness. I just don't want to like deal with the straw now. I just want to like sip it like a hot drink. But they do more plastic, which then it's like, are we making grounds or not? And I use the reusable metal ones, which kind of do a bad thing on my teeth or whatever. But honestly, like, I don't want chunks of paper in my drink and with my ice. So it's just, we gotta just do better. Just do better.
My question is, so do we just ban plastic? Because, like, if you
That would
heard
be
me,
like a beautiful idea. But I would love the idea, but is it realistic? Are we able? We're such a society built on the use of plastic and the use of these harmful materials, and it's not like it's just going to disappear like overnight. Like, I mean, the whole straw thing at my work happened overnight, and it's not great. Like, and we need to work on that, right? So it's going to take years to do it, but I think eventually that is like an end goal that we could like aspire to achieve.
Yeah, I think it would definitely have to be little by little, but it's not something that we could just be like, no more plastic, absolutely everything that you use every single day. It would definitely have to be a progression, but we also would have to take it out and find replacements, because we are so used to using all of these products.
Yeah. How about we just not litter, people?
What?
That's a great idea.
I can't believe you would ask me to do that.
Right?
Great idea. That's brilliant.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. But it's not just like the straws are the only issue. It's there's cigarettes, there's lids, there's all
even
these different
takeout
things.
boxes. Like,
Hear me
so
out.
Want me to just take my food home in my hands?
What if people stop smoking cigarettes?
No, how is that still a conversation? How are we still talking about this? It kills you. It ruins everyone around you. It stinks up a room. Stop. Like, how is that still a conversation? How are those still around?
It really, like, if you notice too, it's still mostly the older generation who were like, I'm from the 60s and like smoking is so cool. Like, like it's not cool. You're dying.
You're literally killing yourself. And now to bring it closer to home with some Cal State Fullerton news, this week is the heavily anticipated Comm Week that occurs once a year. These events provide students from the College of Communication some professional networking opportunities and distinct skill development workshops. Speakers from different industries, such as journalism and public relations, have come to speak to the students. We pass it over to our very own Regina Ureta, reporting at one of the Comm Week events.
What's up, Titans? I'm here where Calm Week has taken over the TSU. Let's check it out.
Sets you apart from people who went to great schools but are maybe lazy.
Calm Week was in full swing at Cal State Fullerton. Students were engaged and ready to ask their questions as they chimed in to several panels that focused on their career in the communications department.
Is that like what's happening now kind of thing?
Latino Journalists was one of the many organizations that hosted panels for students. Through the lens of a content creator, where speakers from Attention Media and NBC4 gave insight on digital media as a growing platform.
Some of the questions that I asked was, for example, if we have our social media on private, should we still, so before applying, should we consider making it public to the news director, pretty much?
And Robert Guadarrama, a former CSUF Titan and now Emmy-winning reporter for NBC4, made a surprise meet and greet for students.
I was able to speak with Robert Guadarrama, and I was actually really excited because he pretty much shared his story. And not only that, he gave the audience, which is students, a lot of advice on, like, for example, contracts, what to do before applying to a news organization, and yeah, it was pretty much helpful.
Students felt the innovative change this semester as professors and organizations push for better and informative panels. Now, we can't wait for what's planned next spring. For The Report, I'm Regina Urrita.
Struggling to find love? Well, why not try your luck at the airport baggage claim? It worked for one couple about a decade ago who are now happily married. Here's CNN correspondent Jeremy Roth with more details on the happy couple and their unique wedding venue.
A couple that met more than a decade ago on a business trip decided to tie the knot where it all began, airport baggage claim.
We met right here.
Michelle and Ron Peterson met 12 years ago at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. After years of long-distance dating, the couple made it official by hiring an opera singer, cellists, and hosting over 100 guests for a wedding inside the airport. They even chose a Southwest airline color scheme.
No one believed us, but now they're all in shock that we pulled it off.
So how cute was that? Honestly,
Talk about romance,
I know,
right?
how cute.
There's hope for you, Aisling.
I know, there really is hope for me. We had already talked about how I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life, but maybe I should go hang out at LAX for a few hours.
Hey, how you doing?
I'll accept.
This is a report first.
Wow.
And
Thank you.
Here, I got you.
Oh,
You can have a ring
wrong
back.
hand.
See, that shows how much I know.
We're in polygamy now.
I'm
We're
a
in
strong,
polygamy, right?
independent woman. Well, anyways, with that, that's all the time we have today on The Report. Have a great week, everyone, and stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Ryan Matthey.
I'm Alyssa Freider.
I'm Gunnar Texera.
And I'm Ashton Insulin. Stay fresh, Fullerton.